Hey everyone! I wanted to take some time today to talk through a recent digital plein air painting that I did with some friends while in the mountains just outside of Los Angeles. I'd gotten some recent questions about my process, so I figured I'd share. Just to get this out of the way, I'm using Procreate on an iPad. I'm using one brush that I made, and I believe one other brush that is default in Procreate. So first things first, I had to figure out what I'm going to do with my composition. The most interesting thing about this image to me was this tree in the upper right hand corner. So I want to make sure that everything else in the image is going to help support that piece in the composition. After I have a composition sketch that I'm relatively happy with, I tend to start with my darkest darks in the painting, which in this case is this kind of dark green color. From there I'll move into doing the midtones in my painting. I start throwing down this desaturated blue on all these rocks here in the foreground. I know that those are going to be slightly lighter in value than the darkest dark I just laid down. I then throw down a rough color for this fallen log in the front, which is lighter in value, more desaturated, and a little warmer than the rocks. From there I'll start kind of working my way back to front, so I know I can lay down a lighter value than the dark tree that I had just painted here, and it's like a pretty washed out bluish green. Some of the atmosphere is starting to affect some of the foliage there in the background. After that I have a relatively decent understanding of the value structure in my painting. So I'm able to start laying in some of the highlights, such as the right side of the tree up top and the right side of these rocks here on the bottom. It's going to be the highest point of contrast in this painting. And once you've done that, once you've laid down your darkest darks, kind of found a relative mid-tone compared to those, and laid in some of the highlights, it's a lot of just pushing and pulling and looking at relationships between colors that you've already laid down. You're able to look at what you've done already and see that, oh, this color is going to be a little bit lighter or darker or more blue or green, and you're able to push and nudge things slightly based on what you've already done. After painting stuff together for a little while, I usually know when it's time to call it done out in the field and then just come home and finish up the painting. Once I'm home, one of my first steps is to overlay a random oil painting or something that I found off of Google for some brushstroke consistency that will kind of break up the very digital feeling that you get using Procreate or Photoshop. I tend to use a really fat brush with a kind of bristly texture to it to kind of give it more of that actual painting feel, and I usually add some kind of color jitter but applied to a per stroke. Well, I really hope that this helped. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out, whether it's questions on brushstrokes or Photoshop tips or whatever I can do to help. Please do not hesitate. I hope to have a few more of these videos out. I've been doing a lot of digital plein air painting recently, so hopefully I'll be able to share more of my process. Thanks for stopping by, everyone. I really appreciate it. See you next time.